Can I just start by saying how much I enjoyed the documentary? And it's like we have stories like this, real life stories that happen, that who needs those big budget films?
Thank you.
We would like a big budget.
yeah.
If you have a big budget, we will relieve you of it. But yeah,
No,
thank
you
awesome.
for saying that.
It was handmade and made with a great team who like went down in the submarine together, and everyone was very devoted, and that's what made the film.
I feel like the submarine analogy is different now.
Is it?
Yes.
Why?
Last summer.
What happened with the submarine? People die?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, I mean, we can't run away from the cycle of life. So, I mean, it is what it is.
But we're all still alive.
Yes, but no, it's true.
Yeah.
We're a tiny, scrappy team that worked very hard to make this happen. So thank you.
How did it go about? Because I understand that Marlon Richard was brought the idea originally to you.
Yeah, he did. And it wasn't like he was, really, concertedly, right, marching off and let's do this, like giving it to an agent and the agent was passing on. He was just sort of exploring the idea. And then we all started exploring it together, and it happened that way. Yeah,
it was very organic. I mean, I think sometimes projects can start from a sort of more official capacity. And this was really when Marlon found the pages of Anita's writing that he was not aware of previously. He also knew he had this incredible Super 8 home movie footage and all of these photographs. I think it just started to coalesce in his mind, like, oh, my mother's so interesting, and there's this material that I've now found. It feels like there's a documentary here, and he just happened to be with a mutual friend of Alexis's. So it all happened in this very kind of organic way.
The narration, the voice of Scarlett Johansson, feel like it was Anita herself.
Yay.
Oh,
that's great.
Oh, thank you.
She sounds nothing like that.
Yeah.
She had a completely different voice, like a German Italian cracked kind of raspy voice that was impossible to imitate. We tried. We tried out a number of different Italian, German kind of voices, and we couldn't imitate it. So we sort of jettisoned that idea and went with something completely different to free ourselves up and find somebody who had a credible sort of sexy DNA, who, if you knew nothing about Anita, could be the person to lead you through this life.
Mm-hmm. And that was believable with the footage that we had. I mean, I think what was special about the material, both in the writing and in the footage, is that it is so experiential. It feels like you're there with them, alongside of them, while they're having these adventures, in a way that I think it really informed sort of the style and approach that we were taking with the film, was to sort of make it less of a reflection back and more of an as it unfolds experience with her.
That's where everything was combined so well that it made us feel like we were there living it with the narration. So how did you guys split the work as two directors and so much material?
We never had a conversation about splitting the work, to be honest. We were just in the trenches together, like when you're trying to get something done and you have a great person by your side and you just kind of do it together. That's sort of, we're both directors, we're both producers. Svetlana did a couple of the shoots that I wasn't on. I did some shoots that she wasn't on.
Yeah.
We both knew all the archival in the end.
Yeah.
Svetlana is better with music than I am. I'm more maniacal with writing. She'll let me have a bash and I'm like, all right, I'll do it. So you just, sorry, I'm like an old man.
No, you just suddenly I feel like we're those two Muppets who would like to work together, and it came together. But we didn't have a real division of labor in that way. I think, we knew that ultimately we were both responsible for everything, good and bad.
And then you had some amazing talent to be a part of, to give a little feedback. Obviously, you had Marlon, you had Angela, Kate Moss, but you also had Keith. How was it to get them in? What was it like? You guys were the ones that asking questions, or did you even have to bother? What they decided to share? What was that experience?
It was a slow and long one, I would say at first. It took a while for Keith to agree to do the interview with us. So we were sort of off making the film for quite a while, and really immersed in Anita's world and with Marlon and Angela and speaking to the people, you know, closest to her. And when he did agree to do it, I mean, it was lovely. We had the three of us sat down in a studio in New York, and had a really nice chat. And he, I mean, I think he, you know, once he agreed to do it, it's sort of almost like poured out of him. I mean, he sat down and just spoke for quite a while at length before a question was even asked. And yeah, it was very, once it happened, it was very natural. And
it's just the three of us sitting there chatting, you know, and it's better sometimes without a camera.
Yeah.
But also the people, I mean, I have to say, you know, hats off to Jane Rose, who's his manager. You know, without her approval, we wouldn't have gotten to Keith. He doesn't have an email or a cell phone, so you can't approach him directly. You have to go through people. And that's probably much nicer for him. So I said, I think the combination of knowing that it was important to his children, to Marlon and Angela, and they were behind the film, and then Jane Rose getting on board and, you know, helping us, frankly,
facilitate the whole thing. Yeah.
So it's you know, it's complicated and also quite old-fashioned at the end of the day. It's just about trust and time.
Yeah, it really was. There was no guarantee that it would happen either. I think we were, you know, so.
What did you learn about her as you were diving into this documentary? And I mean, I loved her zero fucks personality. That, I mean, maybe we should take note on that, that it's okay to just live life how we want.
Yes.
That is a huge takeaway for me. Honestly, personally, I feel like that has had a lasting effect on me of just not maybe leading with my own anxiety and angst about the world and
developed
thinking
a whole dance career.
I have
doing this.
No, there is a part of me that's like, what would Anita do? And she would do whatever she wanted to do. She lived unapologetically. And but yeah, I mean, she's wildly funny. She had a great sense of humor. I don't, you know, that's one of the things that I think we wish we could include more in the film, or it was difficult for us to incorporate in the film.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, she was incredibly smart and was really steered by her own curiosity about the world, and was an incredibly authentic person and honest person, for better or for worse. Brutal honesty can be scary sometimes too. I think she could be scary. Yeah. Yeah.
I come from a long line of brutally honest women.
Alexis is also brutally honest.
It's the Germans, I have to say, because I'm German. I'm a card-carrying German as well as a South African. But there was something very familiar. I was like, oh yeah. I know this. We'll just storm through it all, you know.
That's awesome.
That's what she's like. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time again. I love the documentary. These stories are, I think, if you find more stories like this, you should bring it out to the screen, because we should appreciate a little bit of history and all these amazing talent that we had.
Amazing. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.